physical distancing, mask wearing could be in place for 2 to 3 years, even with the Bill Gates vaccine, Tam warns. Theresa Tam, of course. Theresa Tam, our chief doctor here in Rainbow Unicorn Land, of course. Straight from China. COVID-19 vaccine won't be a silver bullet. Chief Public Health Officer says. Aren't we lucky? So, Theresa Tam, want to listen in? You want to listen in? It won't be a silver bullet.
At this stage, the whether the vaccine, how effective the vaccine is going to be, whether it prevents serious illness and hospitalizations, does it prevent you actually getting an infection? Because some vaccines, influenza vaccines, for example, prevents you from maybe serious outcomes, but doesn't necessarily prevent you from getting the infection altogether. So these questions remain unknown. So I would say that vaccine is a very important aspect of the response going forwards. But we can't at this stage just put all of our focus on in the hopes that this is the silver bullet solution. It is a very important solution if we get a safe and effective vaccine. But I would say that the public health measures that we have in place, the sort of personal daily measures that we take, is going to have to continue. And quite honestly, a lot of it is good personal hygienic practices that we should sustain in the long run anyways. So I think in terms of timelines, a lot of the companies looking at phase 3 clinical trials are really hoping that they'll get some results by the end of this year. Some of them are very ambitious. Some of them are saying, well, maybe the beginning of next year. But that still doesn't mean that we have vaccines for everyone. It's likely that there won't be enough vaccines for the population as the vaccine rolls out. So there'll be prioritization. They'll be looking at that. So I think we're in it.
Prioritization.
As a public health community, that we're going to have to manage this pandemic, certainly over the next year, but certainly maybe planning for the longer term on the next 2 to 3 years. During which the vaccine may play a role, but we don't know yet.
Oh yeah, and there's the
sunny
parked beaches. Oh, Canadians are going out and enjoying the outdoors. This is unacceptable. Theresa Tam. You better wake your ass up. Canadians shouldn't expect a COVID-19 vaccine to be the silver bullet. Canadians. Rainbow Unicorn Atlanteans, I guess you could say. That it will bring a swift end to the coronavirus pandemic and return to normal, according to the chief public health officer. And then she used her briefing to temper expectations about the speed and effectiveness of a vaccine. She reiterated the importance of physical distancing, proper hand hygiene, and mask wearing, and attempting to dispel any notion that a vaccine will make life go back to the way it was in a couple months. So I want you to pay attention to this, because even with their vaccine, they're still not going to let you go back to normal. So a lot of people that may be buying into this notion, like, let's get the damn vax and we'll do it warp speed and we'll get it out, and somehow that's going to open up everything and people will be able to go back being human beings. No way, man. Not according to Theresa Tam. Theresa Tam, of course. And if you don't know this, you should check out my video. If it's still up, would it still be up by some miracle on YouTube? I have a video in which I covered Theresa Tam from 10 years ago. 10 years ago. In an NFB, that's a National Film Board here in Rainbow Unicorn Land. And in that video, they carried out a scenario of a virus outbreaking in the city of Montreal, in which Theresa Tam was saying that we have to open up detention centers and forcibly arrest people and
and those that get vaccinated will get a bracelet of identification, and we have to be able to go into the homes and take out the people who are sick.
And she even talked about that they would impose a total lockdown on the city, and they would set up checkpoints, and they wouldn't allow anybody to leave, and only essential people. So this was from 10 years ago, folks. Theresa Tam. Now they're telling you, and they have in many ways been letting you know this. Now 2 to 3 years. Now don't think about yourself, although, we should all think about ourselves. But I'm saying think about children first and foremost. Think about elderly people. Think about disabled people. Think about all the people that already are in, say, poor health or are young and vulnerable and stuff, are developing, and they're going to be forced to continue to do this for the foreseen future. 2 to 3 years is almost an eternity with the way that this whole thing is rolling out. We've only been like 6 months into this whole thing, and you've already seen how awful it's been. And imagine the long-term effects that it will have on people. Do these people even stop to think about this? Of course, I don't even know if these people are human beings. But do they really stop to think what this medical tyranny is doing to people? Not even just the children and the elderly and all the people that are most vulnerable, but just to the average bloke who is out there trying to survive, just trying to function. How will this affect us psychologically, physically, psychologically, mentally? You see how they've been normalizing the whole depression agenda. In fact, where's my Twitter here? We'll go to my Twitter here for a second. Check this out. So they're pushing here. Check this out. They're pushing that your hair, you're gonna lose your hair from this coronavirus. They got the Toronto Star. Have you ever heard about the Toronto Star? What's the one with the bears there? Like all the different brands of toilet paper, cashmere and stuff like that. This is one of the worst brands of toilet paper. It's like wiping your ass with sandpaper. So I recommend that nobody ever uses the Toronto Star toilet paper. But the Toronto Star is putting up here. I run my fingers through my hair and I pulled out a whole bunch. And they got this character here. Now they had something else here that I wanted to show you as well, which was Bloomberg. Let's see if I can find it. Bloomberg here. And what they were just putting out, I was looking for Bloomberg News. Maybe it's in the trending thing there. And where's this? This is it. Here, check this out. Where's the sympathy for lonely young people? Now, Bloomberg was part of the whole Event 201, right? Event 21 with Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and as well as the World Economic Forum and many other players. And here's Bloomberg opinion. Where's the sympathy for young people? Amidst COVID-19 pandemic, the loneliness epidemic is getting worse for people under 35. So if we think about what Theresa Tam is saying in this whole lockdown, Maskelvania, everyone, and then the goggles and the gloves and the freaking face shields and everything that they're going to make people do, they keep increasing it. And you think, first and foremost, my heart and my thoughts go to the children, right, who are going to be obsessive compulsive disorder, not by their own doing or even their parents' misdoing or whatever, just by this tyranny, this medical sort of tyranny that they're imposing upon all of us, and this obsessive compulsive disorder behavior that they'll be programming the kids into. And I have shown this for so many years So many years. I mean, ever since I've been doing this, how they've been normalizing mental illness and making people embrace, and how they push vulnerability as strength and all these things. They get you to identify with your depression, and they get you to talk and get on the internet, and and they're normalizing it within everyone. So they're making people mentally ill. I mean, it's only normal for people to. I mean, could you imagine if we tried to do this to animals? Could you imagine if we tried to social distance, dogs or horses or raccoons or something? I mean, they'd bite your fingers off. They'd be like, get the freak out of here. It's so utterly evil to be doing this to people. And the people that are doing this, who are directly responsible, are now coming out and saying, where's the sympathy? Like somehow we shoulder the blame. Like it's our fault. Just like it's your fault if you don't wear a mask. Or it's your fault if you don't adhere to social distancing. Or it's your fault if you have a critical thought. If you think outside the box, you're actually most likely a psychopath. If you don't comply with their lockstep, which every day takes it further. And you see the effect on young people, because young people should be living their lives. When you're like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, your hormones are raging. I mean, it's the most natural thing in the world for a young man and a young girl to, like magnet and steel coming together sort of thing. That's what makes the world go round. And look what they're doing. You see what they're doing in the schools, which I've been showing, which is it's just insane. They're messing with everyone. And like, it's one thing, okay, say hypothetically we actually had a real virus that was actually really killing even the phony numbers that they put up. Even if you were to go by the phony numbers that they put up, is it justifiable to hurt people this badly? To force kids to sit behind plexiglass and wear a face mask all day long, and to be squirted with this disgusting chemicals, and to have their teacher behind a shield and behind a plexiglass wall, and wearing a frickin' hazmat suit and gloves and the whole 9 yards sort of thing. And they come out and they have the gall to do this type of stuff, where they're gonna put out, where's the simp? I mean, like, where's the sympathy for the Asian people that are suffering? Where's the sympathy for these people that are? Where's the sympathy for the LGBT? I mean, where's the sympathy for humanity from you psychopathic scumbags? There is no sympathy. You're the ones that are behind this, and you're the ones that are inflicting this upon us all. You're the ones that are forcing this upon us, and then you have the gall to come out and act like we're not sympathetic, or like we're uncaring, or that we're not thinking of others. It's unbelievable how psychopathic these entities are. And look at the gall. I mean, Bloomberg, out of all freaking publications, to put out this type of crap. And they're showing the young people. Look at this girl with her selfie stick. And it's bad enough we turn people into complete, nihilistic, narcissistic douchebags. But now we're going to be obsessive, compulsive, autistic. And again, with autistic, remember what autism is, right? It's what? And I'll show you this. I'll show you this here. We say Greta superpower, right? Greta's superpower. What is Greta's superpower? Asperger's. Asperger's is her superpower. So they want people to embrace the mental illness and the sickness that they're inflicting upon them. And then, of course, Big Pharma, who's going to give you the vaccines, and they're the ones that are producing all the antidepressants, instead of actually dealing with the root cause of what these children are suffering from. This person here, I mean, what are you going to say, right? Like, Sarah, it's just an actor, right? But, I mean, you look at that person, you say that person has not figured out the first thing in life. that person, she says, "How dare you? I should be in school." Yeah, you should be in school, and you should shut the F up. And you should never talk again in public. And you should apologize for sticking your stupid face everywhere. But that's how it works, though. And it's an advantage. And I showed how in the movies and in the comic book movies, the X-Men and the, all of the Marvel and the DC and they do it with all their movies, the Star Wars, and all the characters have these mental illnesses, and they all have, and it's all superpowers. It's all coded as superpower. No, it's really a superpower. You're extra vulnerable. That makes you extra soft, which gives you an extra superpower. And then if we say this and we say, COVID and depression, I mean, seriously, how many? Look at this, what they're showing, maps of cases here in Quebec, 60,000. I guess they're showing the cases of COVID, but I mean, you think about how devastating the impact of a lockdown is having on people's mental health. How taxing it is for people not to know if they're going to have a future. For people not to know if they're going to even be able to pay their friggin' rent or put food on the frickin' table, let alone, have some enjoyment in life. And you just see they've done this to all of us. And then they come out and they have the gall to say things like, "Oh, where's your sympathy? Where's your sympathy for young people?" It's like, what? Wait a second. We're the ones that have empathy. We have sympathy. We're not the psycho. We're not Bill Gates. We're not Michael Bloomberg. We're not frickin' Donald Trump. We're not all these scumbags that are either running the show or are good puppets on the Muppet Show sort of thing. We're not Anderson Pooper Scooper, CIA Vanderbilt. We're not frickin' Sanjay Gupta, right? We're not these scumbags that are doing this to all of you. We're all suffering collectively from this scamdemic. And they've been doing this to all of us, forcing us, destroying our jobs, destroying our work, our livelihood, and just our social interaction and our day-to-day just freaking necessities. It's a necessity to be able to physically communicate with people, to be able to see people's faces and smile. I mean, just think about the impact that it has. You're never going to see people smile for what? 2 to 3 years or more, because then they'll say, "Oh yeah, well, that's what we said then, but now it looks like it's going to be like this forever." Of course, they've said the masks are here to stay. I'll show you that. Masks are here. Here to stay. Masks are here to stay. Masks are here to stay, like it or not. Masks could be here to stay. Here to stay. Here to stay. Over and over again. If you're not wearing one, you may be antisocial. Look at this, Forbes. You may be antisocial. What? I mean, it's like, because you don't want to be a human, because you want to be a human being, and you want to be able to express yourself and walk around like a normal functioning frickin' organism, not even just a human being, even a plant or a frickin' animal or an insect. Just imagine any other species doing this to the rest of their species. Imagine if we made gorillas and, squirrels. And as I mentioned before, dogs and stuff like that wear a mask. And it's cruel enough to see dogs, being muzzled. Like, and I understand it was some points, with that. But I mean, no, I don't actually, because I think it's actually cruel. I think you need to, if you're going to get a dog, you have to be able to train that dog and you have to be able to control it without frickin' muzzling it. Because that's, when you take away a dog's mouth, it's like its hand. It's like, I mean, it's not just the mouth. I mean, it's the mouth, the nose, but it's also like a hand. It's like that's how they pick things up and that's how they eat and do everything, right? I mean, and if you think about it, that's what they're doing to all of us. They're taking away our ability to like even just use our senses. It's so utterly cruel what's going on. And then they have the gall to come out and just say things like this, like, oh, where's your sympathy for the youth? You know, you people should all be arrested for what you're doing to humanity. You know, if you have a real scamdemic, go and take the most vulnerable and isolate them and let everybody else just frickin' live our lives. Because the cost of this is incalculable. When you think of how many people are gonna die, how many people have already died because of alcoholism, because of depression, because of suicide, because of failing health, because of stress, all these things, all the elderly people that were left to rot in their homes. They didn't die of COVID. They died because nobody was changing their catheters or their diapers or even feeding them. And that was the case here in Montreal. Right here, all the major deaths that happened were at the old age homes because nobody was taking care of those people. They had to call in the military to actually do that job because the people were so terrified. I'm saying the people that normally do that work, they wouldn't go into work and they wouldn't report because they thought they were going to get sick and die. And you can't really blame them because you put on CNN, you put on CNN, you see the map they put with all the blood stains all over it. I mean, these people are subhuman. It's so evil what's going on. And this is the reality, and we got these creatures here, you know, and I don't give a damn, you know, like, just to be clear, YouTube community, I don't give a damn what your nationality is. I don't give a damn what your ethnicity is. I make fun of everyone, and yeah, I'll make fun of people's accents. Yeah, that's what I do. I make fun of people a lot of times. But this person here, being involved in that frickin' documentary, and I'll see if I can find it here. Probably not. You know how YouTube search works, but there, I'm signed into my music account, but I'll put Teresa Tam. I spelled it without the H here, and I'll put NFB. See if that comes up here. And you see how they do this, right? They try to bury this stuff. Teresa Tam. Documentary. You see, it doesn't come up anywhere. Maybe it's on my channel here. If I go over to Jeff C here, let's see if I can find it. Here and we'll search and I'll just put Tam. Hopefully that'll bring it up. It looks like it's been taken down. Oh, there it is. So there it is. I just wanted people to see this. This was published here on April the 28th. So what I showed here was Teresa Tam was in this documentary, and they were showing, this is from 10 years ago, folks. 10 years ago. 10 years ago? NFB, National Film Board here in Rainbow Unicorn Land, and they just happen to have a documentary about a freaking virus happening in Montreal, and they go through absolute draconian measures. They're actually arresting people, and they're locking people up, and they're setting up detention centers, and they're forcing people to wear bracelets. And they're setting up checkpoints and all this stuff. It's insane. And it's like, okay, now you see it and you're like, oh my God, you know, of course we know, you know, they planned this out.
What is happening, good people? Jeff C here with some very face every single day. It's just all over the news. Of course, she is the health minister. They say Canada's top doctor. Canada's top doctor, right? And her face has been plastered. She's been the face of the whole pandemic here, scamdemic in Rainbow Unicorn Land. And what's being pointed out is this 2010 NFB documentary here that Teresa Tam was featured in. And she talks about how they would deal with a modern pandemic in Rainbow Unicorn Land. I think all Canadians should pay close attention. Everyone around the world. I mean, you don't have to be Canadian. Just listen to what's being said here and compare it to what's going on right now. So remember, this is from 10 years ago. Here we go.
I think the public has to know this is one of the worst case scenarios in terms of an infectious disease outbreak, and that their cooperation is sought. If there are people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings. And public people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings. It's potential you could track people, put bracelets on their arms, have police and other setups to ensure quarantine is undertaken. It is better to be preemptive and precautionary and take the heat of people thinking you might be overreactionary, get ahead of the curve, and then think about whether you've overreacted later. But it's such a serious situation that I think decisive early action is the key.
Police checkpoints are set up on all the bridges, and everyone leaving the city is required to show proof of vaccination. Those who refuse to cooperate are taken away to temporary detention centers.
So that was my video from April 28th this year. I'm surprised it's still up. And you notice what she says, it's better to be ahead of the curve. You telling me 10 years ago, just coincidentally, the current chief medical officer in Canada, who's a Chinese immigrant, who just happens to be, at this point in time, the chief medical officer in charge of the entire thing up here in Rainbow Unicorn Land. And she was advocating back in 2010 that they would have to go in and arrest people and set up detention centers and then use identification and track people and use bracelets and all this stuff and set up checkpoints and all that. And they actually show you police arresting people and handcuffing people and taking them away. It's just unbelievable, folks. It really is. So, you know, we all need to do the best that we can to try to, more than 166 vaccines. Should just be 666, but Tam questions about how Canadians should psychologically prepare for the future. I mean, how do you prepare? Look what these people are doing to us. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing to the children. Look what's happening. You could see it all around you. You can see the effect on the kids. You can see the effect on people. You see the effect on just going grocery shopping, which they want to ban. They want to do all this stuff to us, folks. And the more that we allow them to do it, the more they're going to take the ball down the field. It's really out of this world. Anyways, I hope you're hanging in there. I think it's important to reiterate these things and show these things. And, you know, one of the things I showed before was like way back. I think it was like February or something like that when the whole thing started to really peak. And they had the then chief of the Canadian military. And he said 2 to 3 years back then that they anticipated that this would play out. So I was telling people they're not going to ease up on us. And even if with the promise of a vaccine, it's you just see how it's all playing out. Like they don't want to let the foot off the gas. They want to keep it in overdrive sort of thing. And just keep hitting us with more and more stuff. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I hope you enjoy the work that I do, and maybe you can come and support me. My Patreon link's in the description. It's very important. I appreciate it very much. I hope you guys are hanging in there and keeping yourself fit, both physically and mentally. And I hope you're doing the best you can to speak out against this, speak up for your rights, and try to be the change you want to see, set the example, and inform people, challenge people. Don't go out to fight people. That's not going to solve things, but question things and get people to question things. We do have an opportunity to wake up a lot of people right now, so we got to take the take the bull by the horns and do the best that we can, sort of thing. But anyways, you guys are the best. Much love. God bless. See you guys all on the next one.